So next up, we're going to check out Minuteman's What's in a History Textbook from 1855. This is going to sound really weird, but while I know there's a lot of advances, I'm not sure which parts of it would be the most, let's call it, badly aged. Like, are we going to say, man, we'll never reach the moon? Or, back in my day, women weren't people. I could see this going either way, and it's probably going to be massively infuriating. Hopefully funny. Probably not. Let's see where this goes. Also, Ori, don't think I forgot about the meat berry suggestion. Oh god, I did manage to forget about the meat berry. Now I wish I would like to continue forgetting that. Thank you very much. Oh god.
Hey, let's rock. Howdy friends, my name is Milo, and today is a cold, snowy night here in New England. It's our first...
I think he just said the same thing all the time. Cold, snowy in New England. There's really no difference there.
Actual snow of the season, which is something that I've been greatly looking forward to.
Fireplace.
It's probably not going to stick, but then again, that would probably be asking too much. Now, with the holidays bearing down on us faster than any of us care to admit, it's safe to say that we've all been incredibly busy. I myself have been finishing up the project that I alluded to in my last video, which has been taking up more of my time than I care to admit. Now, personally, when I think of what I want to do on a
This might sound weird, but is anyone else getting like a desync issue? Maybe it's just me.
Snowy New England night, there is nothing that fits the bill more than sitting next to a fire and reading a book.
I'm going to be completely honest. When I think New England nights, that is not what I'm thinking first. Granted, my family was from Southie in Boston, so when they think New England night, I'm not going to go into detail on YouTube because they would not appreciate it.
We have a fireplace, which is a pretty good start, and we even have a book. This is ordinary book, however. This is a very, very old book. I'm a big fan of collecting old books, especially books that pertain to history and science, because typically they end up so outdated that they are absolutely hilarious to read. This book is Goodrich's Comprehensive Geography and History, both ancient and modern. And it was
1855, modern. I'm sure that's good. Oh my god, my cat's at the door meowing. They've been doing that for a while, and it's so cute.
It was published in the year of our Lord, 1855. I picked this up at a flea market a little while back, and it has some truly beautiful maps and woodcuts as well. And also some views of the world that will make you go, wow, that was the most horrible thing I've ever heard in my entire life. So
the phrase, the amazing British teeth and facial structure. Facial structure? Sure. Teeth? Okay.
Well, I thought it could be a nice way to round out this year, to have all of us come together on this snowy night
and
I'll read you a book. But if we're gonna do this right, we're making a goddamn fire.
Oh, the camera just got...
That looked like...
Oh. Okay, just to give everyone an idea, if you have a camera with a decent picture, what I have it turned up to right now is 1440, and can go up to 4K recording, seeing the camera suddenly tip over is a panic attack. This isn't my camera, and I am scared watching this footage, knowing what is happening.
Like it hurt. There is one last piece of this equation.
Hey, look,
we're going to be doing this right. Give me a second. A cup of tea. You know, for someone who absolutely...
What kind of tea? There is a wrong answer.
Absolutely hates British people. I gotta say, tea is pretty good. That was a joke. Please don't take that seriously. I don't actually like tea.
Oh my god. Wait, my camera turned off for 5 seconds? That was weird. Okay.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to story time. Why don't we have a look at Goodrich's Comprehensive Geography and History of the Ancient and Modern World from 1855. The illustrations in it are absolutely beautiful. I got my little dual camera set up here. I'm almost pretending to be professional a little bit.
Let's read.
Shape of the Earth is that of a globe, ball, or sphere. In the early ages of the world, mankind supposed the Earth to be a vast plain, terminating on all sides in a shoreless sea or a region of darkness.
I mean, that's literally just flat Earth. That's what they believe, yeah.
So glad that we have stopped thinking about stupid shit like that. This idea...
I'm not going to acknowledge this comment because it physically pains me.
Prevailed until about 400 years ago when the true form of the Earth was ascertained. Good word.
My
SAT
God.
Points. Though some philosophers seem to have suspected the globular form of the Earth at an earlier date. Go figure. Zones and climates. Man, the fucking art in here is beautiful. Hey,
yeah.
View of the Earth is seen from the moon as illustrated in 1855. Have a look at that. That's beautiful. I like.
Oddly enough, there's not entirely wrong. You wouldn't see the other planets, that's for sure, but that is kind of what it looks like. Also, way further away. It's close enough, though. Also, Martin, Milo, is it Milo or Milo? Milo has a series where he debunks conspiracies. That probably gets a lot of internet traffic from people who's like, he can't do that. We're telling the truth and you're lying now. You're out. You're part of the system to get us. Also, I'm just assuming people who believe in certain conspiracies all lisp. I don't know why. It just feels right.
That Saturn is like the size of, I don't know. I don't even know what those other planets are. But whatever it is, Saturn is the same size as that guy. That probably isn't good. The various objects of the Earth are divided by natural lists into 3 classes or kingdoms. The mineral, including the soils, rocks, and waters. The vegetable, including trees, plants, and shrubs. And the animal, including all beings which live, feel, and move.
And that gets even weirder when you talk about the plants that are carnivorous and move. Yeah. That's a thing.
Animals are endowed with instincts which guide them in the pursuit of happiness, but man must reach his maturity and perfection by means of education. Uneducated man is savage. So we can already see where this book is going to tend. You're going to see some a lot of that sort of savagery narrative. I'm going to have a little sip of this and then read about the savages. Antiquity of...
I don't know why, but I feel like just listening to that, my teeth got worse. Weird.
The Earth. By examining the surface of the Earth, geologists have come to the conclusion that the globe on which we live has existed for many thousands of years.
Thousands? Oh yeah, this is well before carbon dating. Yeah, that makes sense. They're going on biblical time frames. Although even that, there were existing cultures that were predating that. Also, my wife is in the other room shouting, "It is time!" But she's going to feed the cats, but she's doing it in the weirdest way possible because I think it's cute. And it is.
So, something we're going to see as we kind of work our way through this book is that obviously there are some scientific principles that they just don't have a very good grasp on. But, you know, as much as it's easy to laugh at that because it's so blatantly outdated, it's a really interesting point to read at because, you know, it illustrates this really interesting time where the, you know, traditional European views of, you know, creation are now being challenged by the scientific views of, well, science and fact. Earth prepared for man. Previous to this time, no human beings had existed on Earth. But at last the Earth was fitted and prepared to be the abode of man. Adam and Eve? No fucking way. I love these guys. And now God created Adam and Eve. At this point in time, the history of the human race begins. We are entirely indebted to the first books of the Old Testament for an account of the creation and the history of the world for 2,000 years after that event. It is
Yeah. Although there are books older that they knew about at this time period. Although I think some of them were mostly not cultures that would be in English writing at this point.
Very interesting seeing historical outline of the Earth, and it starts with talking about dating the age of the Earth itself, and then within like 3 sentences it starts talking about Cain and Abel.
Moving on.
For those of you wondering, wanting to drink along at home with me, this is Earl Grey tea. It's good for you. Build strong.
Oddly enough, I like it. I think it's kind of sweet. Like, savory sweet. I don't know why. I don't think other people view it that way. For me, it just kind of tastes that way, and I like it.
Bones and teeth, and then turns those strong bones and teeth yellow and makes you look British. One time
Oh, goddamn, they're right.
I got a comment. I made like some joke about British people's teeth at some point in one of my videos as like an offhanded jab, and someone called me racist for it. And I still don't know how to feel about that, so I'm going to let you guys unpack that one. All right, what do they...
That would be nationalistic. Not right. What? No. No, just not going to get into that one.
I have to say about Africa. The greater part of Africa lies within the tropics, and here are the hottest portions of the globe. The country is remarkable. The country? That is the biggest goddamn country I've ever seen. The country is remarkable for many curious animals and a peculiar race of people. Wow, I'm not gonna say that one. We're gonna put that up on Still Store, Cambot. What do you think of that, Gianfranco? You think that's problematic? I don't know if I can say that. But I like that I'm talking to this camera like it's my editor. How you doing, Gianfranco? It's good to have you here, man. Let's move on to North America. All right, I think our geographic information about North America is probably pretty unchanged.
Oh, we're about to get to some fun comments. And my wife just brought me allergy meds. Thank you.
I don't think any new mountain ranges have come up since 1855. Oh my god, look at this map.
That is
so great.
That is cool.
Holy shit. Yeah, so Oklahoma is still Indian territory. Nebraska is one big piece of land.
That was all Nebraska originally? Wow. Kansas seems long for some reason. Oh. And Texas just, for some reason, it looks off. Oh, yeah, it needs to go further up. There's New Mexico. It's just all Mexico. Dear God. It all looks so weird like this because I'm not used to these divisions. There's no Iowa. It's just all Washington and Oregon. Oh, Salt Lake City was already adjusted at this point? I don't know why, but for some reason I thought Salt Lake City was a much newer city. Huh.
The Dakotas aren't even a thing yet. It's just one big Minnesota. We got our gold region right here, mouth of the Mississippi, Colorado River.
Also, California went down into the Mexican part of California as well. Neat.
Man, that's cool. The United States occupy the middle part of North America and are remarkable as being the most enlightened and populous country in America, and the most powerful republic in the world. That's funny, I guess this was before the United States of America became synonymous with America.
Oh, yeah. Because technically, if you're on the Western Hemisphere, you are American. North, South, or Central. The United States just kind of took the rest of it.
Indians are greatly reduced from their original population and probably do not exceed 400,000. Some of them have partly adopted the habits of civilized life, but many of them still...
Technically, the greatly reduced part is accurate, but way more than this book would ever estimate. Because essentially what happened when the Europeans arrived, the horrible things they did were not entirely the ones they knew about. Oh, don't get me wrong. The ones they knew about, they did too. But the biggest, most horrible one was that disease spread very thoroughly, and to the point it was essentially an apocalypse. The numbers are still coming out and being debated, but the answer would be, hey, you thought the black bubonic plague in Europe was bad? Assume that the survival rate was 1 in 10 instead. I don't know if that number is accurate, and part of that is because while there are lower numbers, I've also heard higher. Yeah! It was not so much a, oh shit, there's not a lot of people left. It was more of the, how? That level. Yeah, it's really bad. The more you find out about it, it's more like, how are people still alive here when there's this much death? It was, yeah, and there's also been multiple societal collapses for various reasons, for very large kingdoms who we are still finding entire ruin networks for. It's fascinating. How we built over some of them in St. Louis. Sorry, when it comes to ancient history, I love this stuff, and it's just so fascinating to find out how much was just ignored. And I don't mean like in 1855. I mean recently ignored, only to find out within the last 10 years.
Make hunting and war their chief pursuits. Okay, at least try to not make them sound so awesome when you're trying to write your propaganda book. What do you guys do? Well, we go into these giant factories and then we just make cotton textile until we either are done after a 12-hour day or my leg gets ripped off. Why? What do you do? Hunting and war. Oh, there we go, baby. Look at that fucking map. She's so beautiful. We're moving along. Yeah, New England, let's go. All right, New England, what do we got? Historical.
I'm sorry, how big was Maine? Huh. Maybe it's just that it's not bending with the globe, but it just, the proportions seem off. Rhode Island is way too big. I refuse to acknowledge it is that big. My family's from Boston. The concept of Rhode Island being more than a single city that people just happen to go to occasionally and then drive past it is the only thing I'm ever allowed to accept. And if I ever say otherwise, they will find out, and I will get some very passively aggressive letters in the mail. I don't know why. It's happened more than once. It is freaky.
We got historical incidents, Indian Wars. At the time of the first attempts at settlement in Maine, it appears to have been the residence of powerful tribes of Indians. It appears to be? Is it that hard for you to fucking tell that? Prowling...
I mean, partially because it wasn't. The French were explicitly hiring people at the time to get rid of the English. There's a lot more to it than that. It wasn't exactly that, but that was a thing that happened.
Bands of savages roamed throughout Maine and New Hampshire.
Yeah, of course you would say that.
I have to say that this book has aged like a fine wine. The frontier...
Specifically one that you already drank through spatting, closed up, and then didn't close tight enough and let sit in the sun. The more disturbing part is that entire line would have been perfectly acceptable for 100 years after it was published. To give an example, John Wayne nearly assaulted someone at an award ceremony because they were Native American and he wanted them dead. Yeah, that's a thing that happened.
Settlers were obliged to abandon the cultivation of their fields and collect in fortified dwellings for the purposes of defense. These were often attacked and, though bravely defended, were sometimes overwhelmed by numbers, and men, women, and children put to the sword, or reserved for torture and captivity. Look into the fire. Think of the horrors. Think of the atrocities. Massachusetts! Let's go! Oh my god, Faneuil Hall, look at that.
Oh yeah, I've actually been there. It's pretty cool. Also, I'm just going to pull this up because this is an interesting thing. So, disease is why the Aztec people lost to the Spanish. Yes, but also there's a little more to it than that. Disease was a big thing. But also the people who were conquered by the Aztec really didn't like the Aztec. They saw the Spanish as a way to get revenge. There was also a lot of bickering, and then there was the entire thing where the Spanish said that they would, after capturing the king, they said they would free him, and then they just killed him and slaughtered everyone. But there was a lot of other things going on, and people were explicitly helping the Spanish early on because they thought the Aztec were the big bad. Disease also fucked over a lot of people, which I think the Aztecs capitalized on and pissed them off too. But this happened early enough into the Spanish arriving that the disease hadn't spread that much yet. It made it easier later, though.
Joe Franco, do us a favor. Have a look at this map and then do an overlay of the city of Boston. Boston's my home city, for those of you that don't know. But they have...
Huh. I'll be honest. I got family there. I actually had no idea what it looked like. I never bothered to do it. I've only ever bothered to be driven through it because you cannot drive in Boston if you're not used to driving in Boston. It is a very different thing.
Done so much infill to the city of Boston, they have completely changed the geography of it, so it's practically unrecognizable from what it looked like when people got here. Yep. King Philip's War, what's it say about King...
Specifically, they've actually added land in mass. Landfill, like literally filling in the land. I think some of it might have been trash, I'm not entirely sure. I don't know if that was a joke or not, if it was a landfill they just built on. For all I know, it was accurate. I really don't know. And then there's the Big Dig, which is even more recently, which is just getting all of the streets underground across the bays. Or, well, under the bay.
Philip's War, I feel like people don't talk about enough, but it's the closest that the indigenous population of North America ever got to wiping the colonial presence back into the sea and pushing them back to England. So let's see what they have to say about it. King Philip's War. This celebrated contest has been already mentioned.
Celebrated?
It began in June of 1675 and continued 3 years. Many villages in New England were laid in ashes, and many hundreds of whites lost their lives. No indigenous people, though. None of them died. They were all fine.
Yeah, of course that's how they were. Just,
War and
I'm not surprised, but I'm just disappointed.
Fucking hunting. I don't remember. The very existence of the colonies seemed to be threatened, but the English finally prevailed. Thank God. Salem witchcraft.
They would.
Here we go.
Oh no.
This extraordinary delusion commenced at Danvers, then a part of...
Okay, they're calling it a delusion. I'm actually a little surprised about this. I thought they'd be all for it still.
Salem in 1692. It was a general belief at the time that Satan sometimes enters the bodies of persons and gives them extraordinary powers. I like that. It sounds so quaint. Watch this, Dad. I have extraordinary powers. Who's that? Goku just melt someone's face off. Some children in a pious family in Danvers being moved with strange caprices? Caprices? Caprezes?
Capriciousness?
What the fuck is that? Were supposed to be thus in league with the devil. Other persons were soon imagined to be infested with the terrible mania. Shortly after, a number of those were seized and thrown in prison. 20 were tried and suffered death. That does sound pretty suffery.
Also, it's completely overlooking the fact that there was a lot more general backstabbery going on. Like, the initial charges were brought because someone didn't like someone else. There's actual documentation of it, but the people who made the accusations, some of them were then told, hey, if you name people who were touched by the devil, we're not going to assume you're touched by the devil. You should really get into that. And it's like, oh, I don't like this person. I don't like this person. This person's touched by the devil. This person's touched by the devil. I'm playing it up a bit, but this is not entirely inaccurate. There's a lot more history to it, but a lot of the confessions were bullshit, and a lot of the accusations were explicitly bullshit that people knew were bullshit, but fuck that guy. Or girl. Yeah. She's uppity and doesn't want to marry me and didn't give me sex when I wanted her. She's a witch. I'm not entirely sure that last one is accurate, but it's along the same theme of some of the others that were.
And at length, the whole community began to ask, where will this end? I cannot believe they have a quote in here. It's like a fucking voiceover. Yeah, you're probably wondering how I got here, being crushed to death under rocks at the Salem witch trials. A little calm reflection showed that the whole affair had been an unhappy delusion. Too bad.
That's technically true. It was a delusion. Except most people knew it was wrong when it happened. Then they got into it because the people who knew it was wrong kept silent because they were okay with the outcome. Although I think a few of them were accused as well later on.
We killed like 30 people. God, I love Massachusetts. We have such a fucking weird history. Oh my god.
Oh, he's in Massachusetts.
Is it today's sponsor is
he said Boston
HelloFresh? Wow, that's weird. I had no idea that HelloFresh went so far back. That's right.
I was going to skip past this because I'm actually massively hungry right now because I haven't had anything to eat since before the stream started. And I'm just looking at this and all I can think is, oh, okay. That's not better. Okay. Nope.
Do it. What's the population?
Oh,
of
I can feel my stomach moving.
Oh, man. Wait, 1855?
Also, Necro, how much... Oh, you're asking Corinne about the Mexican warfare? Good, because I have no idea myself. Also, Luna, in Sweden, around 300 died during the witch hunt. Yeah. I did not know about that. I do know they were existing more in Europe just because the Inquisition. But I mostly know about the American side just because, oddly enough, they have an entire game built around it. Yeah. And the character pieces are all the historical people that go into detail about the lore of what happened. It's actually quite fascinating.
Oh shit, this is pre-abolition. I forgot about that. That explains why in New York County, New York, there's a population of 500,000 whites and 18,000 free colored people. Oh man. Oh god. Oh.
And the sad part is that is still the least offensive term they could have used at that time period. In fact, that's actually making them very forward-thinking to only call them colored and free. Because there was a lot of people who had been perfectly okay with any other word that I'm not going to say on YouTube. There's no bridge involved here.
Oh god, oh god. I'm gonna need to take a shower after reading this fucking book.
Oh, it'll get worse.
Here we are, the southern states.
So,
someone get Aten Shea in this shit.
Now here's the best part. Was this written by people from the north or the south? Because we're going to see very fast which side they are having fun with.
Gonna love this. That's a nice map. We got another nice map, another nice woodcut. The Indians, recently numerous, are nearly all removed to the Indian Territory.
That would be the Trail of Tears, I think. Which explicitly was told by the Supreme Court, you're not allowed to do this, to which the answer was, no, stop me. They didn't.
Yeah, the black population, who form 2/5 of the population, are a separate caste and mostly held in slavery. Reminder that this was written less than 200 years ago in the country that you live in right now. Well, You probably don't. Actually, there's a very good chance you don't. I was actually shocked recently the fact that I have as large a viewing audience as I do in Australia.
I mean, to be completely fair, that is actually true for me as well. I looked at my numbers like, okay, I'm an American. I speak English as an American, which is just bad language usage in general. How many people? Oh, half my audience is not in my country. Damn. Yeah. I mean, the next big ones are Canada and the UK, but up there is like Germany and Australia after that. I'm cool with that. It's kind of fascinating to see.
I was looking at my demographics recently, and I have no idea what you people are doing watching my videos, but...
Also, generic, you're apologizing because you're already not sure. You're in the southern states, you apologize in advance. Don't worry, I have family in northern Michigan. If you don't know what that means, assume that anything you're apologizing for, they're still doing now.
Good day. Okay, let's go back to this horrible thing. Education. Uh-oh, that's funny. Education has received little attention in the southern states. I'm gonna give a little moment. This is choose your own adventure. I'll let you put your own...
Ah, yeah, this was written in the north. That's the case.
Joke here. Ready? That was very funny. I couldn't have said it better myself. Fuck me.
Also, I'd like to point out, if people are thinking, they're going to make a reference to Deliverance here, that was technically in a northern state. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was either Virginia or West Virginia. Technically, West Virginia would have been a northern state, and Virginia would have been a southern one. If it was West Virginia, yeah, technically that would have happened in the north. That is weird to me still. Also, that it was actually written based on a true story. And the true story being he stopped on a rafting trip and had pie and dinner with this very kind family that he thought were incredibly beautiful, kind people that he had great things to say about. And then he wrote Deliverance. Yeah.
Did I say that you could do that?
You did not say it.
All right, if we're getting into the part of the night where we're gonna have to talk about slavery, I'm gonna need to get a little more comfortable because this is gonna be a horribly uncomfortable conversation.
So is he like, what? Do you want to take his shirt off? You know, there's probably people in the comments, if that was the case, they would be here for that. It's like, oh yeah, we're here for the best part.
I also feel the need to make a little disclaimer here. I hope it doesn't seem like I'm taking any of this too lightly. I hope you know that I obviously could have, like, a political fucking dissertation written on this book, but I think since all of us know that what is in it is really outdated, I feel like it's not...
While I want to agree with everything he just said, I'm going to explicitly not look at his comments because I'm almost certain there are going to be people who do not get that they're outdated, and they will be very aware of that in all the wrong ways. Let's just not ever bring that up.
Not horribly inappropriate of me to try and at least make some light of it, because I don't think I need to convince anyone that slavery and indigenous genocide is a bad thing. And if I do need to convince you of that, then get the actual fuck off of my channel and never come back.
Yep. Not checking his chat, though. Just not looking.
You know, one thing that I've been really shocked about recently, I made a video a little bit back about Rhode Island's state rock. You know, a pretty lighthearted topic in the grand scheme of things. It was just like a 1-minute short, and in it, I used the word colonizer. I have never seen so many people be so pissed about a fucking word before. Like,
I mean, that's literally what they were doing. They were colonies. I don't get it. Like, I literally don't get it. Why would someone be upset about that? It's literally in the title of what they were calling themselves at the time. It's like me being upset by being called an American because I live in the United States, not America, damn it. I must be missing something.
It absolutely blew my mind how in a video talking about a fucking rock, the same people who are all about facts don't care about your feelings are fucking pissing themselves over me using the word colonizer. And so if that's something that hurts your feelings, I don't give a shit. It's very obvious that none of us who are here right now are directly responsible for the things that happened hundreds of years ago. But
I know. I had nothing to do with that, and my 500-year-old neighbor said I had nothing to do with it back then when he met me either.
What we are responsible for is doing fucking better. And by bitching about me calling people 300 years ago colonizers, it just proves that we are really not getting very far. Either way, I know this doesn't apply to most of you, but
how old is this video? Only 3 years old. And look how far we've come.
I was just absolutely shocked by that. Oh, man. Holy sh... Okay,
How bad?
State of Virginia goes through every single county and their white population, free-colored population, and slave population.
Of course, Virginia would have some of the most detailed information because it's one of the most important states at this time period. And I'm assuming if they mention Rhode Island at all, it'll be like, people live here. We're not sure if it's willing.
Population. And when all of it is tallied up, the total white population is 894,000 people. The total free-colored population is 54,000 people. And the total slave population is 472,000 people. Sorry, enslaved.
God damn! I mean, I knew the numbers were bad, but I didn't realize it was that many. Or also, counterpoint to that there were less than, just barely over 1 million total people at all. Sorry, I'm just used to such high numbers now. It's, yeah, 200 years ago, that would... Oh, shit, this is nearly 200 years ago. I guess the numbers did exponentially expand after this point, so yeah. Just, it feels weird in multiple ways. And some of them more dirty than others.
That's just... It's really horrifying looking at this shit put into numbers. I'm lost for words. Ooh, the Everglades. These are extensive marshy thickets in the southeastern parts. During the late war, with the Seminoles, it always goes back to just killing the indigenous people, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I was so excited. I was like, oh, this is gonna be nice and uplifting. I'm gonna read about the Everglades.
Dude, it's Florida. When would it ever be nice and uplifting?
And we won't have to talk about genocide or slavery, but apparently we do. The Indians found a retreat in these thickets, in consequence of which the struggle was protracted for several years. It's a weird way of saying we couldn't find them, and they kept kicking our asses. Seminole War, I don't even think I can read about that right now. I think it'll just send me into a fit of violent rage. Curiosity.
The correct response.
In the northeastern extremity of the state, near the Tennessee River, is an eminence called Raccoon Mountain. On one of the precipitous sides of this mountain is a deep cavern called Nickajack Cave. Its mouth is 50 feet high and 80 feet wide. It has been explored for several miles without coming to the end. The floor...
Unironically, that's just fascinating. And I'm pausing here because I'm sure whatever he's about to say next will make it much less interesting. It is kind of weird, though. They're not talking about the massive populations of bugs that killed people on the southern coast. But oddly enough, not in Florida because it was more temperate. The breezes were a little better, so the bugs weren't nearly as immediately going to give you malaria as in the Georgia coast, for example, or South Carolina's coast. Yeah, prior to the fall line, you actually had a lot of chance of just not having cities there that got larger. And it was only after immunization really helped that you could have large cities on the coast in this part of the country. Yeah, just that's the thing. You had the cities because of ports, but more often you would have them at the fall line following a river as far in as you can get. That's why Atlanta was a thing. Maybe not Atlanta, I think it was a different one. But not Savannah, for example, was not the town it is now.
Was covered with a stream of cool, limpid water through its whole extent, and the cavern is accessible only in a canoe. That's actually rather interesting. I've never heard of that before. I'm sure it's been much more explored and mapped now. Gianfranco, give us the image.
Oh shit, it actually was. Honestly, I was expecting to hear like something blew it up. Home Tennessee most exciting wild cave expeditions. There's the number for it. It's Chattanooga, Tennessee. Take nothing but pictures, leave nothing but footprints, kill nothing but time. That is actually huge. How far down does it go? Oh, this is a deep caving one where you could actually get stuck. Oh, dude, these things are fascinating, but I would be terrified. Still do it and probably die horribly. Let's ignore that part. Also, according to Orr, and 1/2 billion in 1900. And now we're at almost probably more than 9 at this point.
The image. Alabama. There are counties that have a higher enslaved population than a free white population. Man, how did this exist? How are people so just shitty to each other?
Have you met us? That should tell you the answer.
The Choctaws, amounting for about 16,000 souls, formerly residing partly in Alabama and partly in Mississippi, and the Creeks, about 20,000 in number, have been removed to the Indian Territory. This is way more depressing than I thought it was going to be. I don't know what...
Also, it's not even get to the part where the Indian territories were then removed again because we found out we liked what they had and wanted to take it. Or that it was only within the last 2 years where most of Oklahoma was announced that, hey, you remember how you signed these treaties that said it was still Native American-owned land? And that makes it the reservation? Guess what it still is? And the official Oklahoma defense to that is, we've ignored it for years. We're going to keep doing it. And oddly enough, the court reaction to that was, no. Yeah, that was a thing. Old treaties being upheld after probably over 100 years of not doing it. That was the thing that actually happened.
I expected, but was better than this. Oh my god. What's this? State of Alabama. Under the guidance of missionaries, the former adopted the customs of civilized life. They had a regular Republican government.
I'd like to point out, they're talking about British customs. I don't know why, for some reason, I was thinking it would be French. Yeah, I don't know why. I thought it would be French. That's where I was going with this one. Probably something to do with New Orleans. That would be Louisiana, not Alabama. That's it.
Ichota was their seat of government, and here was the printing press. Oh, a newspaper alphabet had been invented by a native of the tribe. The fine lands of these Indians provoked the cupidity of the whites, and after various difficulties, they were all removed to the Indian territory. So they assimilated, got your fucking printing press, wrote your stupid-ass language, and yet something happened, and they were removed anyway. Could it be that
greed and assholery? Not even the last time it happened, like the black stock market, for example. I'm not going to say the rest of the words because you two probably won't like them.
You just wanted the land and they were merely an obstacle in the way and you were willing to lie, cheat, and steal your way to success? No.
Are you saying that there's going to be a record he's going to bring up about how, I don't know, there were hundreds of years of agreements that were then blatantly ignored? It's like, hey, we'll do this if you do this, and then we didn't do that and we still took everything else? Are you saying that that's going to be a thing that happened? Well, if he doesn't, I'd be missing out.
That didn't happen. Definitely not. History is being rewritten by the goddamn liberals. Okay, you know what? No, I'm gonna get a little bit fucking heated about this, because I'm reading through this now, and it would be one thing if we were looking at this as being a historical primary document, which it absolutely is, and we are treating it as such. But what is fucking horrifying to me is the fact that we live at a time now where there are political who will get in front of an audience and try and tell people that we do not live on stolen land. That is the most blatant lie I have ever heard in my entire goddamn life. We are reading a primary document right now that is literally talking about the process of stealing the land from the people that were here first. And now this is a really important thing to note.
Also highlighting the fact that they were okay with the theft because, you know, we're the ones getting it. And you, as an enlightened white male who would only be allowed to read this if you have approved of the party of your father's acceptance, and other bullshit traditions that I'm not going to be able to come up with off the top of my head, could read this enlightened document to say how we have made your life better, and if everyone else gets fucked over, that doesn't matter because I don't care about them. You see where I'm going with this one, right?
Because I think that the same mentality that makes people so uncomfortable with hearing about that is the same mentality that makes people so uncomfortable when they hear the word colonizer. When someone says that, at least generally I like to think, they're not fucking talking directly to you. Or, you know what, I'll even generalize. To me, I'm a white person. What, did I come here fucking sword in hand and start killing people? Absolutely not.
I mean, to be completely fair, my family was Irish, English, Italian, German, French. I'm assuming there's at least one atrocity in my background. Most of them against the other parts of said background. Yeah.
I benefit because people came here and did that? Absolutely. But I don't fucking support what they did, so I am now obligated to use the position that I have now to fucking do better. I don't understand why this is a difficult thing for people to wrap their heads around.
Oh, L, you would argue it's conquered land? Some of it, very much so, yes. But actually, I think that would be mostly the stuff taken from Mexico was explicitly conquered and handed over that way. But some of it actually was deals and treaties, and then those treaties just weren't upheld, and the land was taken when it wasn't supposed to be. Like, explicitly just ignoring laws that we wrote. Explicitly, we as in America, the United States of America wrote, and then just never followed through on multiple times. Yeah. Also, that wasn't just a Confederate thing. That was also in the North. Like, I know there's a big thing about where the South gets the rep for slavery. No, that was in the North, too. Like prior to the Emancipation Proclamation, no one really cared about that. It was power dynamics. And it just happened to involve that the slaves were in the South mostly, but they were in the North. And there was just as many racist assholes in the North as well. They never left. But there's a lot of things that just don't get talked about. The Civil War was about slavery, but it wasn't about freeing people. It was about power and the power you got from having slaves. Because neither side thought of them as people for a lot of it. There were abolitionists who would go into the North because they got power from opposing the South, but you still find the racist assholes there as well. And I'm honestly even then overly generalizing this because there was actually movements to make things better among multiple different cultures. And that's just not even getting to the other aspects of the other cultures being brought in, other than just the enslaved or the white populations or the various other ethnicities that now are white, but wouldn't be considered white at this point. History is confusing and terminology changes a lot. And most conversations about it are overly generalized just because truth is hard. Yeah, I can get into this for a while. And even I know my extensive understanding of this, which, because I got obsessed with it for a bit, is not lacking, is still nothing compared to what's actually going on. And people who studied it excessively would know even more. And I say excessive because, oh dear God, man.
No one's asking you to fucking bend over and self-flagellate yourself about it. We're just asking...
No, but that actually is a thing that the Catholics did. Yeah, and they still have sects that explicitly like the flagellation. If you're not in pain, you're being angry. Or not angry, you're disrespecting God because life is pain. And doing anything else is a sin. I only know this because I had an aunt who actually believed that there were some things... Yeah, they had some interesting beliefs about how you had to cause yourself pain, and anything that wasn't caused by you was a punishment from God that you needed to suffer for to get over. It's how she dealt with trauma. Probably not the healthiest way.
Asking for all of us to get together now and fucking do better. And so when you have these people who get up there and...
Also, Elle, you're talking about the enslaved people? Oh, yeah. And there was also servitude and, what was the term? Were indentured servitude on top of that, which was on top of slavery, but at various layers. And also there was the people like, okay, you're indentured servitude because I pay you this much money, but now you work for us for this long. Or we're going to give it to your family, but then also, you're not indentured anymore. Welcome to actually just being a slave. Why? Because no one can have the power to say no. You see where I'm going with this. There were a lot of ways to be a fucking asshole.
Spread bullshit like this. It is just such an obvious attempt to just do the divide and conquer shit that, oh my god, this video is gonna get demonetized, isn't it? You know
yeah,
what?
definitely.
America's making me angry. I'm going to a different country. The territory of New Mexico. That's not a different country.
It was at the time.
America. Wait, okay, this is where this shit gets interesting.
Wait, what did they say? Did they say Russian?
Oh, that's not a different country. Russian America. Wait.
Yeah, he said Russian America. I'll be honest, this is actually news to me. I didn't think Russia had any claims in the East. Wow, I was going to say Eastern. In the West, specifically the Western Hemisphere.
Okay, this is where this shit gets interesting. Russian America. Yeah, look at that. How bizarre. Alaska.
Really?
Not Alaska. Russian America, I guess. Oh my god. I literally cannot get away from the fucking racism. I was like, oh cool, how many people live here? Let's read the inhabitants.
Yeah, that was said the Inuit or a different tribe. Yeah, I completely forgot about Alaska. And I don't mean like forget it was owned. I mean, I literally forgot Alaska was a state. Or part of America. And I don't just mean the United either. I literally forgot Alaska existed.
Section. The whole population is supposed to be about 10,000, 1,500 of whom are Europeans, and the rest are savages. Oh, hey, that's actually interesting. The term Eskimo, which is now an outdated term for the people who prefer to be called Inuit, the name Eskimo allegedly originated from a French word which meant the people of the snowshoe. And here it was Eskimo, like A-U-X, and it's actually written that way in this book.
Oh, so they were using a French term in an English book to refer to a native population. That's surprisingly thoughtful. This is definitely one of those interesting times where it's like, this is very much dated for its time, but you can see they're attempting, by their understanding of the time, to be as accurate as they can be. Also, I'm being told it wasn't actually the Inuit here, so it was a different tribe. So in other words, this is also an incorrect term, or the correct term for the wrong tribe regardless. That's actually kind of fascinating in its own right.
Which is kind of interesting. That's very, very cool. Cool little relic. Well, let's read about this. The latter are partly Eskimo and tribes of Indians blended with those. They all live by fishing and hunting.
But they wouldn't be tribes. Oh, because the drift from Eurasia into Alaska and down into South America and North and Central America over the land bridge wasn't something they knew about at this time period. So they would actually assume it was different. Also, yes, all Native Americans are Asian. In a very stretched term that honestly has absolutely no meaning. In the same way that you could say every person in Europe is African because migration patterns. Yeah, it doesn't hold meaning when you stretch it long enough. But it is kind of fascinating how various populations would move when there were the land bridge available, because during the Ice Age, there was more water held in the polar caps, so you could do that. Or how there are various caves in France that were high in the mountains or the hills and are now at the waterline. Sorry, things like this are absolutely fascinating to me because people build on shores. If there were cities, they got destroyed. Or I guess towns or townlets. Yeah. It's just things like that that redefine what the world was, considering we've already lost thousands of miles of shoreline. And we didn't even know we lost them until we started learning out more.
And our rude ignorance.
To give an idea, that'd be like saying New York, Boston, London, Paris, and maybe not Paris, Tokyo, and maybe not Mexico City, and Miami would all stop existing tomorrow because water level covered them. So eventually you can't live there. Eventually it would just be destroyed, and then it might even fall from memory if people just don't see it long enough, they forget about it. For example, to give you an idea of a current lost city, Centralia in Pennsylvania in the United States is the source of the idea behind Silent Hill. It's a real city where a gaping pit of fire opened. The town had land that is burning because of a long-running coal fire, and over time, people were evacuated from it. It was removed from the maps. But it still exists. You can still go there. You shouldn't, because gaping fissures in the earth could open up when you walk on them without, because the land's unstable and underneath raging coal fires that make the land brittle. So if you step in the wrong place, you might just fall to your death. But it's a thing. We lose locations all the time still, but they're lost. And how do you know?
And inoffensive race. We've failed as a species. Okay,
we did that already.
About some animals. I like animals. Animals! The polar bear, wolverine, musk ox, reindeer, and caribou, ermine, and arctic fox are found far to the north. The black bear, otter, beaver, muskrat, marmot, and wolf are common in the middle regions. The black and grizzly bears, moose, silver fox, Rocky Mountain sheep, and goat. Jesus Christ, there's a lot going on up there. We're going to a different...
They're doing better with non-human biology than human biology.
Country. I hate America. Yeah.
Also purple. I need a few more asterisks. Oh, hell yeah. And I know I could go further too.
Guatemala. The Catholic religion is established by law. Pop off, West Indies. Goddamn. Or no, that's not West Indies. That's Guatemala. The West Indies. Hurricanes. In the interval between the months of August and October, the islands are visited by those of terrible storms called hurricanes, to which the regions of the torrid zone are liable.
Okay, this is going to sound odd, but when did the word hurricane start? Is that a thing that would happen because I know in the West Coast it's typhoons, and hurricanes is more of an Atlantic Ocean phenomenon, even though they're the same thing, just on different oceans. Did it start in the Americas and then get named, or was it already a local word that then became translated into English? I don't actually know the origin of the word. Or was it something that already exists because hurricanes could reach Europe and Asia? No, I mean, that would be typhoon. No, sorry, Africa. Or would it not really come up because those would be less and more diminished than what would happen closer to the Gulf and leading into the Gulf? I don't actually know. And now I'm wondering about the linguistic history of it.
Glad we don't have any more of those anymore. The French islands, the Dutch islands, the Swedish islands, the Danish islands, Columbus. Ooh, South America.
Yeah,
South America is noted for its long and lofty mountain ranges, its numerous volcanoes, its extensive plains.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. What is that last part there? It's like we got Brazil, Ecuador, New Grenada? Oh, that would become Colombia, Venezuela, and then Guyana? I think that became, I forgot what country that is. There's Peru, Buenos Aires? Wait, Buenos Aires was not considered Brazil? Oh. Uruguay, Paraguay, Bolivia, Patagonia, Chile. Oh, and there's a little one down here that's actually cut off as well, and I have no idea what that would be. And you can see some countries rose, some fell, but I actually have no idea what would even be down here as a country I don't even recognize. Or is it just not inhabited because it's islands? I actually have no idea. Also, Necro, you mentioned hurricane is the name of a Mayan god from hurricane or heart of sky. So it was actually a word taken from the Americas. I didn't know that. That's actually fascinating.
Its extensive plains, great rivers, and rich minerals. It's got great rivers, what can I say? The desert of Atacama lies on the west between the Andes and the Pacific. Venezuela, the capital, Caracas, which before it was ravaged by an earthquake in 1812 consisted of 45,000 inhabitants. Its situation is pleasant and being elevated, it enjoys a perpetual spring. Well, damn.
Comments that age interesting even since this video has come out.
Peru. Lake Titicaca is the largest lake in South America. It is 240 miles in circuit and 400 feet deep. Its waters are fresh, and it is remarkable for the great elevation of its bed, which is about 13,500 feet above the sea. Wow. Chile was populated by a warlike race of Indians, less civilized than the Peruvians, but far more valiant and enterprising in war.
I thought, was it Chile or Peru that had the cliff dwellers? I don't remember the name of it. No, actually, the book wouldn't be referring to that because that's actually much more recent discovery.
Spaniards under Almondo invaded the country in 1535. Based language? Before the invaders could establish themselves permanently here.
They actually called it because they're being objective because they're Spanish. And this is written from an English perspective. Yeah, that would do it. Even if it technically would be American at this time point, it was mostly thinking of itself as English. And it's why the English were the good guys, even if the Civil War had already happened at this point, I think. Not Civil War, sorry. Oh, that might have already. But the American Revolution was about 100 years prior, but it's very much the English-centric version.
Or the Argentine Republic. This one's for you, Gianfranco. The country has 400...
Also, was this lead... This might have been closer to the time of the Spanish-American War, so that could have actually played a fact on it. That's the wrong button. I'm going to look that up, because that actually might be why certain language is more acceptable at this time period. One, I misspelled that horribly. And just pulling this up. This was 1898. Oh, so this is before... Okay. Ah. So this is maybe 40 years before the Spanish-American War, which also means there's probably budding tension prior on because that's usually what leads into later events. I wonder how much of that would have actually been carrying through, and this book is an example of.
Miles of seacoast, but no remarkable bays. That sucks. History. Patagonia can hardly be said to have history.
Really? Fun facts. 10 years after this book was written, Welsh people settled what's now Chubut in Argentina. That's where we're forgetting. They founded Iwaldolf. Oh, God, yeah, of course it's the Welsh. The biggest Welsh community outside of Wales, where they speak their own dialect of Welsh to this day. Damn. That's not even something you can get in Wales now. I mean, I know they still teach it, but it still sounds like you're summoning a demon when you speak it. Argentina, though. It's almost like there's a tradition now of people from Europe creating communities in South America to get away from people. Something, random speaking German countries. Don't ask why. Me should.
Oh, fuck, man, this is good. It was discovered by Magellan in 1518. The natives were described as being of gigantic stature. Giants, race of giants, confirmed. Subsequent discoveries have ascertained that they are not a race of giants as the old stories represent them.
Magellan was just a shorty, apparently.
I guess I'll just go. They are savages. God damn it. Take a shot every time I say savages. Sorry.
I would rather not do that because I'm doing caffeine right now, and I would probably kill myself doing that. I'd rather not do that. Let's not do that. In fact, anyone watching, don't do that. Also, for the people who do watch my videos to play the drinking game of take a shot every time Airier pauses to say something, you're probably already passed out by this point, so it's too late. My apologies.
Take a shot every time this book says savages. They are savages, but they possess a few useful arts obtained by their intercourse with the Spaniards. Of government or political institution, they seem to know very little. Well, thank God.
Which is also completely wrong, because they had very long-running historic forms of government that were just stored on not work. Although I'm not sure that's Patagonia. It might have been Peru. This is the problem with only having a base knowledge of things that did happen. The details do elude me a lot of the time. That's very annoying.
God for the intercourse with the Spaniards, because we all know that politics is genetic. All right, we're going across the pond. England.
I mean, also, intercourse does mean talk as well. So it could also be exactly what he's saying. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, which I know they don't earn in the slightest on this one.
This is the last place I want to be. There's literally more on England than there is on the entire continent of Africa. Which I guess, like, again, for the time, it does make sense. They just didn't have as much information about it, but it's still really funny.
Yeah, and also, I think this would be around the time period where the big exploration was finding out what was up the rivers in Africa, trying to find out what was going on, explore the Congo, and then do a lot of horrible shit.
A knight, a guy with a shield, a guy with a stupid hat, a horse-drawn
More
carriage,
stupid hats.
Another guy with a stupid hat. Scotland. This is the shit that I want to read about.
Oh, no.
Hell yeah. Look at that guy. My man's got a little basket. We love that. Characteristics. This country occupies the northern portion of the island of Great Britain and is noted for the wild mountain scenery and beautiful lakes. Near Perth are circular towers of unknown origin.
Perth? Oh, there must be one that's both an Australian name and an English name in the same way New York is based on York. Okay, that makes more sense.
There are large enclosures with vertified walls in several places. In the south are vestiges of Roman roads and camps, and part of Antonine's Wall, which extends from the Forth of the Clyde. I don't know what that means. The first inhabitants of Scotland are supposed to have been a branch of the Cimbri, who migrated thither from Denmark about 200 BC. These first settlers were driven out by another tribe called the Picts or the Caledones, whence Scotland was called Caledonia by the Romans.
Oh. That's where that word came from? I'll be honest, I had absolutely no idea that Caledonia was based on just calling that from Romans. Also, by default, the English would be the savages by comparison to the Romans at the time, who called everyone savages. Sorry, no, they were more for barbarians, which is why they spread themselves to cover all the land, and then got their asses handed to them because they overextended, and I think it was was it the Germans who came down and beat their ass in, and basically that's what led to the Roman collapse multiple times? I'm heavily simplifying that, but I also don't know much about it. I just remember reading about it, and it's been literally over probably 20 years. Oh, shit. I'm not going to think about this.
It appears there were several tribes, and historians speak of them as Picts and Scots. Ireland. What do we have to say about Ireland? In the northeast, a large part of the population...
Ah, yeah, what would an English-centric view say about Ireland? I'm sure nothing bad is about to happen.
Population consists of the descendants of English and the Scotch, who settled in the country many years ago. These speak the English language, are Protestants, and resemble the native English. The rest are Celtic origin, their native language resembling that of the Welsh and Scottish Highlanders. In some parts of the south and west, many of the people know no other language. The native Irish are chief...
Ooh, what was that right there?
In some parts of the south and west, many of the people...
Decline of Ireland's native Irish speakers. 1800? 1850, 1900, 2000. Although a lot of this can also track to the decline of the Irish population. For example, I think around the 1900, whenever the potato famine happened, the Great Hunger, 1850 probably, there were about as many people in the country as would have happened within my lifetime. I think it took about over 100 years for the population to recover. Yeah.
know no other language. The native Irish
oh, is it Germanic people according to L?
Catholic, and largely landed proprietors generally live in England. Well, that history is going to just keep getting more interesting as time goes on. France, definitely skipping this section. The Roman Empire, Germany, Northern Africa. Hey, there's the Sphinx, very nice. Oh,
actually was nice.
Man, that's some nice early anthropology, ethnographic drawings we got here. Wow, the Hottentots. That's a good name. Oh my god, wait, that was all of Africa? Hold on.
That was
what
it?
What the fuck? Oh my god. Sudan, Ethiopia, Guinea, Lower Guinea, Mozambique. The population of Africa consists chiefly of Moors who occupy the Barbary states, Arabs who inhabit the Great Desert and its borders. Wow. The black population who are spread over the middle and southern portions, and Caffres and mixed races who occupy the southeastern border. There are also many tribes scattered here and there which partake more or less in several of these races. Oh my god, Assyria, we got Arabia. All right, well my brain is starting to shut off.
I think he only passed maybe 10 pages on that, and that's almost all of it. Also, Crane, you mentioned Sphinx has a nose. Really? I actually missed that. I went too far back, and I don't remember where it was at.
Hold on. What the fuck? Oh my god. Sudan, ethnograph. Oh, Germany, interesting. West, the consists of the Scots, Kimbride, circular tower.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to find it.
Of Scotland are supposed to have been a branch of the Kimbrings. Very nice.
Oh yeah, no, Sphinx had a nose in this one. You're right. Was this before it was damaged, or did they just add it in because the artist wasn't sure what they were looking at? Which is a thing that happened in some art.
Also, many states, Syria. We're probably going to do it for now. I have plenty more books like this. With a little bit more forethought, I could probably make a video that's a little bit more structured than this one, but I hope that you guys enjoyed it anyway. I am currently in the final steps of finishing my massive project, which I still can't talk about yet, but I know I alluded to it at the end of the last video. So I've been just deathly busy right now, so doing a video like this where it just takes me an even...
No, unironically, what project was he working on? I'm actually curious now, because it's been 3 years. Maybe that came out. Unless it's a really big project in which it maybe didn't. I don't want to know, though.
Evening to film is quite literally all I can fit in order to get content out to you guys, so I appreciate you humoring me as I have a little bit of a different form of video. But I'm hoping that by the new year we'll be back in our regularly scheduled programming. I have some really exciting stuff coming. I'm sort of reworking the way that I'm actually going to be making my videos and producing them, so hopefully I'll be able to get them out a lot faster and be able to have a lot higher quality and stuff like that. And so I'm really excited for the new year, but right now I'm just trying to focus in on the holidays, finish the project I'm working on, and be done with it so I can fucking focus on this again. But I'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining me here this evening as we...
Also, according to Airier, it was debunking ancient apocalypse. Oh. Which apocalypse? Or is it more like the Mayan calendar thing? No, they've already been debunked. These are still here.
Sat by the fire and read potentially the most depressing bedtime story of all time. I'd like to...
No, that's not fair. It's the most depressing bedtime story yet. As of 3 years ago.
To thank my patrons for making this video possible. Patrons get early ad-free access to all of my videos, and patrons will get their credits in this video as a token of my gratitude. Make sure to follow me on Instagram for my fancy pictures, TikTok for literally nothing because I barely use TikTok anymore because...
Oh yeah, TikTok's a thing. The only thing I know about is there's some random guy who impersonates me on there to put my face with completely disregarded reactions to, I think, what was it? Grey's Anatomy with Chinese dialogue captioned below it. I don't get it either, but they do that. It's a thing. I don't understand at all. Oh, man. I can see why people recommended Minuteman. This is actually fascinating, and I'd say it's depressing, except I was aware of most of what he was bringing up. It was cool to see it, but at the same time, it's like, wow, beautiful production, cool looking book. Some of this aged like spoiled wine that people added milk to. I don't need to go any further with this entire illusion because you kind of get exactly the right idea for adding milk to wine. Which I guess that would just be not mulled wine, that would be honey, but yeah, it's like if you made cheese with wine. Actually, never mind. That sounds awesome. But you know where I'm getting with this one. There's a lot of ways this could go really off the rails, and well, I'm assuming this entire live stream is now demonetized. And yet somehow, the word has never come up. Actually, a little surprising. And according to Ori, as of tonight, he's doing Ancient Aliens. Damn. Kind of fascinating. Also, the inherent conceit in there is the people here could not possibly make these interesting things here, so they have to be done by aliens. Yeah. Honestly, some old technologies are fascinating. Like the Antikythera mechanism, which was just a religious device used to plot the stars, but was also the basics of computing discovered millennia prior. Yeah, because it would have been ancient Greece. Was it Mycenaean? I think it was Bronze Age, so yeah, millennia. Things like that are fascinating. History is fascinating. It does come with the biases, and you can kind of see how certain ideas are being shaped by the area they're in, and some things that they're missing that we know now are just not there. But you see the time period it's from. From a historical sense, it's fascinating. Because if you look at it in the, oh god, they're talking about people, it becomes a lot more depressing a lot faster. I can see why people get into this, though. It's very interesting, just the stuff he's found. Also, I just have a love for fire, tea, and old books. Even if I hate what is in there, I like finding them. So, yeah. Basically what I'm saying is if you haven't already, there's a link below to the original video. Hit it up. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.